So today we got Mr. Jeff Wessel. Mr. Jeff Wessel is running for the special election of Wilcox County Sheriff in November 7th. And what we're doing today, we've got a little interview with him, kind of be informative to the county, trying to be a little candid with the candidates. And I appreciate your time. I appreciate you coming in and sitting down and talking with me.
Well, I appreciate affording us this opportunity and getting, out there to the citizens of Wilcox County. A little more casual,
A little more casual.
and personal.
Yeah. And that's what I like, and that's the side I think that a lot of people need to see. We did the forum down in Wilcox County that we recorded, and we put that out for a lot of people to see. And a lot of that was questions asked and questions answered, and it's kind of long and drawn out. This is kind of more of a one-on-one personable thing, and I appreciate your time for coming in and sitting down with us.
Well, again, thank you for having us.
So we're gonna dive in here. I got about 5 questions we go over today.
All right.
If you're comfortable with that.
Let's go.
Where are you currently employed, and what is your position?
All right. Currently, I'm employed by Georgia Department of Corrections.
Right.
I never left from
Never
when
left.
we worked together.
Right.
So that's 28 plus years I've been with the Georgia Department of Corrections. Currently, my position is the special agent in charge of the Fugitive Apprehension Unit. That consists of 13 personnel, 14 counting myself, and we're all assigned to the U.S. Marshals Southeast Regional Fugitive Task Force. And our main purpose is for corrections is anytime we have an escape, it is our responsibility to get them back into custody.
And you touched on something there. You've been with the Department of Corrections a long time, and that's where I actually got to know you. Like I worked with you many years ago. I don't like saying how many years ago that was.
Sorry to bring that up.
It kind of ages me and you both.
It does.
But wow, that's 28 years you've been with Department of Corrections.
Yes. So started off as a correctional officer and have been fortunate and worked myself up to, special agent in charge over the Fugitive Apprehension Unit. My experience inside the prison, I'll never forget.
Right. I never will either. I never will either. And man, 28 years. I mean, that shows your dedication to not only law enforcement, but to one branch of law enforcement.
Yes. Over the years, I've been in the hiring process of personnel to bring on either to the Fugitive Apprehension Unit or even onto our Criminal Investigative Division. But and you'll see where people have bounced around from agency to agency. Correction has been good to me. The experience that I've had, like I said, starting off as a correctional officer and then advancing up and then getting the opportunity to come over to the Fugitive Apprehension Unit, opened a lot of doors for me. Is challenging, and it just grew into a career. And I'm one that stayed pretty dedicated, obviously.
Well, that's very admirable. I commend you on that, because I probably had like 9 jobs since me and you worked together, But
well, it's not for everybody.
Yeah,
it's not for everybody. That's
so
for sure.
Being Fugitive Task Force,
Yes.
You're not out there hunting just pocket pickers or nothing like that, are you? Usually?
No, we don't deal with shoplifers and such.
You're
as
dealing
that.
with the worst of the worst usually.
Yes, the task force is geared towards violent criminals. Anywhere from the murders, ag assaults, kidnappings, most all of your drug-related charges, and pretty much anything that has to do with a crime against a child and elderly.
Wow. So being in that position, in the position that you're in now on the Fugitive Task Force, that allows you to work with other agencies, I'm sure, because that's not just an in-house thing, chasing criminals, right?
Correct. So the task force is a multi-agency task force. The Marshal Service runs it. We've got representatives from Bibb County Sheriff's Department, Jones County Sheriff's Department, Baldwin County Sheriff's Department, Warner Robins Police Department. We actually have an ICE agent in the office and an ATF agent. So we come together. It's kind of like a force multiplier.
Right.
We work the cases for obviously the participating agencies, but then we also cover the full middle district of Georgia, which stretches to the southwest corner down in Bainbridge, all the way up to the Northeast up in Elberton. So we have Athens.
Wow.
We've got Jackson, Georgia. We got Columbus, Georgia. We got Valdosta, Georgia, and Macon, Georgia. So we travel all over, and Albany. Can't forget Albany.
So, but I mean, that experience gives you the opportunity to work with other agencies, same as you would have to do as the sheriff.
Yes, and I've been extremely fortunate in that to meet so many different officers throughout the state, from sheriff's departments, police departments, and have built a rapport with them. And from our work, we get callbacks. They call on us quite frequently, and especially around here. I'm very familiar with Chris County, the sheriff there, and the chief of police there. He actually came from corrections. So it's been a unique position in working with that many different agencies and seeing the different ways that they're run. And some are rural like ours. Of course, we haven't had that done much work around here, which is a good thing.
That's a good thing. Yeah.
That's a good thing.
Not a lot of violent people out of this area.
Right. But to see those agencies that, oh wow, I like the way they run this office, and then there's some, unfortunately, that we come across that, don't want to repeat that.
Right. So working in the Department of Corrections, you probably remember this. I'm not sure if it's still true to this day, but I remember in our training years ago when we were coming up, it was be fair, be firm, but be consistent. Is that a motto you live by?
That's still to this day. I mean, that is one that we received in BCOT.
Right.
And you hear it when you're young, and it's like, oh, okay.
It didn't register much back then, but it makes sense.
But as you grow in the field, you realize that, hey, this is the right way. You get better results.
Right. And you think that attribute or that slogan would fit well as a serving sheriff, don't you?
Oh yes, most definitely.
Be fair, be firm, but be consistent.
Yes.
Because if you're consistent, everybody knows how to take you.
Exactly.
Everybody knows what to expect of you.
Yes. You can't, flim flam back and forth from, be strict on this day and then, flimsy on the next day. I mean, it's just, you have to maintain that day in and day out. And people tend to respect that a whole lot more.
Oh, yeah.
When you're consistent in the way that you handle yourself and you present yourself.
Yeah, like I say, there's no second guessing. They know that the Jeff is fair and firm, but he's consistent.
And I think that lends into the professionalism of the office. That not just in myself, but the other deputies on there. Hey, this is the way we need to conduct ourselves while we're out there, and then it builds that trust within the community for those officers, and you get a whole lot better results.
All right. Because at the end of the day, and that's the reason why I wanted to do this interview, to see a candid side of the candidates, and to see a candid side of you, because at the end of the day, the voters need to know the person they're electing is a person. I mean, you're not just a sheriff, you're not just a robot.
Right.
I mean, you have
not
family.
That RoboCop.
No, you're
not
that
RoboCop. Right.
You have a family, you have feelings, you have the whole 9 yards.
Oh, yes.
But you have a job to do.
Exactly. Yes.
So I have to ask this question. What is your experience with hiring and supervising of officers? Because you're going to have to do that if you're elected as sheriff.
Yes. And it's needed right away.
Right.
So over the last 10 years, I've been in a supervisory role. I started off as the assistant special agent in charge, and then promoted up to the special agent in charge. And during that time, I've supervised, like currently, supervised 13 individuals, stretching from Savannah, Macon, and Atlanta. And so have also been involved in the hiring process, not just for the personnel the officers on the task force through corrections, but also for our other divisions, our criminal investigative division, our intel division within corrections. And so that's definitely been a learning experience, and also, has taught me a lot as to what to look for in somebody to ensure that we're making the best selection as possible.
Right, because you're hiring somebody for your team. So you're hiring somebody that's covering your back when you're going to look for an individual.
Yes.
So it is up more support, and you'll do the same thing as a sheriff candidate, or as a sheriff if you're elected. You'll do the same thing. The guy that you're hiring is going to be the guy covering your back.
Yes.
and he's going to be the guy protecting the citizens of this county.
Yes.
So it's helpful that you put that importance on it, on who you hire.
Yes, we want a well-rounded individual.
Right.
We don't want one that, as we used the term earlier, a RoboCop.
Right.
That is, he's got all the Velcro. He's, all tactical looking or tactical acting. We don't need that. We need that person that can interact with the people of Wilcox County.
I actually liked your answer during the forum. I will go back to that. Well, you were talking about talking to upcoming high school kids and trying to get them, home-based kids, trying to get them interested in law enforcement, because the home county aspect does have a lot to do with if they're hired from the county, the home feel, I guess I'm trying to say.
Yes, most definitely. And that one, there's a sheriff up above Macon that early on, I actually worked with his son, and so spent a good bit of time around him. And I noticed in his department that most of them came from within the county,
right?
And got to talk to him about it. And he says, I start when they're in high school. I start, talking to the students there at the high school, see that those that are interested in a career in law enforcement or criminal justice,
right?
And he develops from there. And so I agree, wholeheartedly with that. Homegrown is the way to go. If we can.
If we can. So there's a hotbed a topic, I guess you can say, it's a hotbed topic with the sheriff's department. What experience do you have of managing budgets and inventories? That always comes up when we talk about the sheriff's office.
I understand why it's a hot
topic.
Because it takes a lot of work.
Because it's taxpayers' money that's ultimately being used.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
It's not.
Could you talk about the experience you have on budgets and inventories?
I actually have experience working also with the Marshal Service, the task force, and also with corrections on working with working within a budget, and then also dealing with inventory purchasing of items, equipment,
right,
vehicles, and that. So on the Marshal Service side, have been responsible for keeping up with they pay our overtime.
Right.
So we're allocated a certain amount, and we have to stay within the number of hours or that amount of money. So I'm responsible for the 13 personnel that are on the task force, ensuring that they're, not claiming over that amount, and also justifying their hours. Making sure they're just not, hey, I'm going to throw, some extra on. Not that they would do that.
Right.
But just to make sure that we're following the guidelines established by the Marshal Service. And then also the specialty equipment that our unit requires in going out and searching for the newest, keeping up to date on our equipment and also technologies. And so it's going out, doing the quotes, then also doing the purchase orders, and then keeping track of the inventory of that. And I also do that on the correction side. Correction side has grown to be a much more daunting responsibility for me, because there's 124 special agents that I'm responsible for their equipment and their inventory, and then also purchasing and issuing out specialty equipment.
So right now, you're over a budget of 124 officers.
For equipment.
That involve 124 officers with equipment. That's pretty impressive.
Yes, and trying to get them the equipment necessary.
If we had 124 officers in Wilcox County, that'd be nice, wouldn't it?
That it would be.
But that's good to know. I mean, it's good to know that you've had experience with budgets and inventories.